Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most exhilarating, high-octane, and brutally challenging games ever released on the Nintendo GameCube, F-Zero GX. This isn't just a racing game, it's a legacy of speed, innovation, and collaboration that pushed the limits of both hardware and human reflexes. Released in 2003, F-Zero GX wasn't just a sequel, it was a bold reinvention. But how did it come to be? Why did Nintendo hand one of its most hardcore franchises over to Sega? And what makes this title so unforgettable even 2 decades later? Buckle up, because we're about to take a dive into the origin, evolution, and lasting legacy of F-Zero GX. Now let's hit that boost pad and go. Before GX, there was F-Zero. The franchise began back in 1990 with the release of the original F-Zero for the Super Nintendo. It was a launch title in North America and one of the first games to showcase the SNES's Mode 7 graphics technology, a technique that allowed developers to create the illusion of 3D movement by rotating and scaling background layers. That original game set the tone. Futuristic hovercrafts, breakneck speed, and unforgiving difficulty. Players raced as one of 4 iconic pilots, including the now legendary Captain Falcon. It was a critical and commercial success, and it immediately stood out as a technical showcase for the new 16-bit hardware. With its high-speed gameplay and slick visuals, F-Zero became a staple of the early SNES libraries. However, despite its popularity, fans wouldn't see a true sequel for nearly a decade. That long-awaited sequel came in 1998 with F-Zero X on the Nintendo 64. This entry introduced a full 3D graphics engine, 30-car races, and one of the smoothest frame rates on the console, 60 frames per second. The visuals were admittedly bare bones, trading polygonal detail for fluid performance, but it was a worthwhile trade-off. F-Zero X was intense, the speed was relentless, and the AI was aggressive. And the tracks were loop-de-loop masterpieces of design. The game even featured a track editor in the Japan-only 64DD version, showcasing Nintendo's experimental spirit. Critics praised the precision controls and high frame rate, and it cultivated a small but passionate fanbase. Meanwhile, portable spin-offs like F-Zero Maximum Velocity and F-Zero GP Legend helped keep the series alive on the Game Boy Advance. But fans still wanted a new mainline entry, a game that could take full advantage of modern-day hardware and bring the thrill of F-Zero to a new generation. By the early 2000s, the gaming landscape had changed dramatically. Players wanted not only great gameplay, but also cinematic experiences, immersive storytelling, and eye-catching visuals. The racing genre itself had evolved with franchises like Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, and Wipeout offering slick, futuristic racers with loads of polish. Nintendo realized F-Zero needed more than just a technical upgrade. It needed a reinvention. But rather than keep development in-house, they made a bold move and reached out to an old rival. Sega. In the late 90s, Sega was facing trouble. The Dreamcast had failed commercially, and Sega transitioned from hardware manufacturer to third-party publisher. Suddenly, the company that once fought Nintendo in the Great Console Wars was now working side by side with them. In 2001, Nintendo announced that Sega's Amusement Vision division, led by Toshihiro Nagoshi, the creator of Super Monkey Ball and later Yakuza, would develop the next F-Zero game. This was shocking news, and fans were skeptical. How could Sega handle such a fast, precision-based racing series? But it made sense. Amusement Vision had the experience with arcade hardware and had built high-speed engines for arcade racers. In fact, F-Zero GX was developed alongside its arcade counterpart, F-Zero AX, which ran on the same Triforce arcade board, co-developed by Sega, Nintendo, and Namco. Nagoshi's team approached the project with both reverence and ambition. They wanted to retain the core DNA of F-Zero, the speed, the hover mechanics, and tight racing lines, but also push it further. They built a new engine from scratch and focused heavily on presentation, cinematic style, and brutally high difficulty. F-Zero GX launched in August 2003. From the moment you booted up the game, it was clear that there was something different. The visuals were jaw-dropping for the time. Glossy vehicles, enormous looping tracks, dynamic lighting, and a sensation of speed that few games have matched to this day. The core gameplay? Speed and survival. Players could choose from over 30 different racers, each with customizable vehicles that balance speed, acceleration, and handling. You could also tweak weight and boost capabilities, giving a surprising amount of depth to your strategy. Tracks range from the high altitude insanity of Mute City to the deadly twist of Fire Field and the impossibly fast Cosmic Dolphin Cruise. One mistake at 1,500 kilometers and you were toast. What truly made GX stand out, though, was its difficulty. This game did not hold your hand. It demanded precision, memorization, and nerves of steel. And then there was Story Mode. A bold addition to the franchise, Story Mode followed Captain Falcon through a series of increasingly insane missions. It started simple, win a few races, beat a rival, but quickly escalated into white-knuckle challenges. From navigating mine-laden canyons to surviving an assassination gauntlet, Story Mode was the stuff of legends. Each chapter pushed the envelope further. Chapter 3 had players outrace a flaming detonator on a crumbling track. Chapter 7, the Savage Death Race, was a demolition derby where the object wasn't to win, but simply to survive. And very few did. While the cutscenes were melodramatic, complete with cheesy one-liners and dramatic showdowns, they added character to the game and helped elevate Captain Falcon beyond a faceless avatar. Here he became a mythic figure, a bounty hunter, racer, and hero. Even today, Story Mode remains one of the most discussed and respected components of GX. For many, it's the reason the game has lasted in memory. It gave purpose to the racing and weight to every win. What Amusement Vision accomplished with F-Zero GX was technically groundbreaking. The game ran at a locked 60 frames per second at progressive scan 480p. Even with 30 racers simultaneously on screen, each with its own physics model, AI behaviors, and unique stats. This fluidity delivered one of the most intense speed sensations in gaming history, frequently cited by critics and developers alike. This feat was achieved by leveraging the Nintendo GameCube's hardware-optimized architecture, particularly its high memory bandwidth and efficient GPU. Even more crucial was the Triforce arcade board, a custom arcade system co-developed by Nintendo, Sega, and Namco, which closely mirrored the GameCube's internal specs. This allowed seamless development between F-Zero GX and its arcade counterpart, F-Zero AX. One innovative feature: players could use their GameCube memory cards and F-Zero AX arcade machines to unlock content in GX, including custom vehicles and hidden pilots. This cross-platform save feature was rare at the time and showcased Nintendo and Sega's forward-thinking collaboration. The game's visual presentation was top tier for 2003. High-res textures, real-time reflections on vehicles, heat shimmer effects, and massive multi-layered track environments, like the dizzying tubes of Fire Field or the towering cities of Mute City. All of this ran without frame rate dips, even in split-screen multiplayer. Audio design was equally strong. F-Zero GX featured a robust Dolby Pro Logic 2 sound mix, with layered engine sounds, futuristic ambience, and one of the most diverse soundtracks in Nintendo history, ranging from rock to techno to orchestral fusions. Every character had voice acting, bringing extra personality to pilots like Black Shadow and Samurai Goro, something still uncommon in Nintendo games at the time. Pre-rendered cutscenes added a cinematic flair, albeit with some delightfully over-the-top moments. While cheesy by modern standards, they gave the game an identity that helped elevate Captain Falcon into a pop culture icon beyond Smash Bros. To this day, F-Zero GX remains one of the most technically polished titles on the GameCube, serving as a benchmark in optimization, art direction, and gameplay integration. It's a masterclass in arcade speed design where every frame and every pixel was purpose-built for adrenaline. When F-Zero GX launched, reviews were overwhelmingly positive. IGN gave it a 9.2, praising its visuals and speed. GameSpot highlighted the deep gameplay systems. Even more casual reviewers noted the sheer polish and challenge. However, its commercial performance was modest. It sold around 650,000 copies globally. Not a failure, but not a blockbuster either. Some blamed the difficulty. Others pointed to the fact that futuristic racers had become niche compared to the more accessible kart racers like Mario Kart Double Dash. But over the years, F-Zero GX gained a devoted cult following. It became a proving ground for speedrunners and competitive players. Its soundtrack, voice lines, and over-the-top story mode became memes, and its difficulty, legendary. As time passed, the call for a sequel grew louder. Fans still consider it the definitive F-Zero experience, a game that perfectly balanced substance and sheer adrenaline. It's been over 20 years since F-Zero GX, and still, no true sequel. Captain Falcon lives on through Super Smash Bros., but F-Zero as a franchise has been largely dormant. In interviews, producer Shigeru Miyamoto has often said that the series hasn't returned because Nintendo doesn't know how to innovate it meaningfully, but fans argue GX is already perfect. Why not build on that foundation? In recent years, there's been renewed interest. The rise of retro gaming, the Nintendo Switch's success, and the demand for high-speed racers have led to fan-made projects and spiritual successors. In 2023, F-Zero 99 launched as a Battle Royale-style racing game, but it wasn't what fans had hoped. With the 2025 arrival of the Switch 2, F-Zero GX is available now through Nintendo Classics service. While it hasn't received a full remaster, the emulated version maintains its legendary speed and visual clarity, running at a constant 60 FPS thanks to the Switch 2's improved emulation hardware. Longtime fans can now relive the high-stakes races on modern hardware, and new players have the perfect opportunity to experience one of Nintendo's boldest racing titles. Fan forums, speedrunning communities, and YouTube retrospectives continue to dissect the game's design, praise its visual, and document strategies for mastering each brutal story mode chapter. Even in 2025, GX is the gold standard for futuristic racing. While there's still no word on a brand new sequel, this re-release is a strong signal that Nintendo is listening, and perhaps testing the waters for the franchise's future. If that happens, it will be a comeback 2 decades in the making. F-Zero GX wasn't just fast, it was fearless. It was the result of unlikely partnerships, bold risks, and unrelenting commitment to gameplay excellence. Whether or not we ever see a sequel, its legacy is secure. That's the story of F-Zero GX, one of the fastest, hardest, and most visually striking games ever made. It challenged players, pushed hardware limits, and proved that even the most intense games could still be beautiful. If you played F-Zero GX, drop your favorite track or moment in the comments. And let me know, do you ever think we'll get a true sequel? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your fellow retro gaming fans. Until next time, keep it fast, keep it clean, and don't forget to boost.